You know that moment you tell a stressed out kid to just take a deep breath, and somehow they get even more anxious? Well, it turns out calming down is a skill. And as schools are grappling with a pretty serious youth mental health crisis, many are turning to a surprising new way to teach it: mindfulness. Today, we're going to dig into why.
All right, let's jump in. First, we'll look at the urgent need for these kinds of programs. Then, we'll get into what mindfulness in school actually looks like. After that, we'll check out the science. Does it really work? Then we'll get a peek at the fun exercises kids are doing. And finally, we'll talk about what it takes to do this whole thing right. So, first things first, why this big focus on mindfulness all of a sudden? To really get it, we have to understand the scale of the problem these programs are trying to tackle, and that's the youth mental health crisis.
I mean, it's such a classic scenario, right? And it just perfectly illustrates a simple but really profound truth. The ability to calm yourself down isn't something you're just born with. It's a skill. And just like reading or math, it's something that needs to be taught and practiced.
And boy, is that skill needed now more than ever. The numbers here are pretty sobering. Over the last 25 years, anxiety and depression among teenagers have just skyrocketed, up by 70%. This isn't just a blip on the radar. It's a huge challenge for a whole generation.
So this is where our own biology kicks in. When we get stressed, our body's default setting is that fight, flight, or freeze mode. But skills like taking a deep breath, that's like a physiological override switch. It's a way to manually shift our nervous system back into that calm, rest, and digest state, which lets our thinking brain come back online.
Okay, so how are schools taking this idea about our biology and actually turning it into something they can teach? Let's look at the programs that are designed to build these self-regulation skills right from a young age.
So, at the heart of all this is the idea of mindfulness. And really, it's a simple but incredibly powerful concept. It's not about emptying your mind or anything like that. It's just about training your attention so you can respond to life with purpose instead of just, reacting on autopilot all the time.
And this practice ties directly into how the World Health Organization defines mental health. It's not just about the absence of illness, it's a positive state of well-being. It's the foundation that lets us learn, work, and be a part of our communities.
This is where you can really see how mindfulness fits into the bigger picture in education. A lot of schools already use a framework called social and emotional learning, or SEL, to teach these 5 key skills. Well, mindfulness acts like the foundation that supports all of them, especially self-awareness and self-management. Here's a simple way to look at the difference. Think of mindfulness as working from the inside out. It's training our internal attention. SEL often works from the outside in, giving us thinking strategies for things happening around us. They're basically 2 sides of the same coin, and they work together perfectly to help build well-rounded students. Okay, so the theory sounds great, but does this stuff actually work? Let's jump over to the science and see what the evidence really says. Well, the scientific community has definitely taken notice. What used to be a pretty niche practice has set off an absolute explosion of research. We're talking over 2,000 peer-reviewed articles published in just the last few years. That's a lot. So, what's all that research telling us? Well, a major review of studies on these school programs found a clear, significant, positive impact on students' emotional well-being. It helps them reduce anxiety and build up their resilience.
And those benefits have a ripple effect. The research also shows that students in these programs become more empathetic and less disruptive, and that helps create a calmer, more positive school environment for literally everyone.
And here is the absolute crucial takeaway. This isn't just about feeling good. A calm, focused, and regulated brain is a brain that is ready to learn. The research shows direct links to improved attention, better memory, and even higher test scores. Okay, so we've seen the data, but what does this actually look like in a real classroom? I mean, how on earth do you teach a 7-year-old to be mindful? First, forget any idea of kids sitting in silent meditation for an hour. That's not going to fly. For this to work, the techniques have to be totally age-appropriate. That means they're short, they're playful, and they're simple enough for a kid to remember when they're actually feeling upset. So for example, a lot of exercises connect breathing to a simple physical motion. With something called triangle breathing, a kid might trace a triangle on their desk, breathe in for a count of 3 along one side, hold for 3 on the next, and breathe out for 3 on the last side. It gives them something really concrete and predictable to focus on.
The language they use is also really key. So instead of some abstract command like breathe deeply, teachers use vivid images that kids can immediately get, like smell the flower, now blow out the birthday candle.
And honestly, a lot of these exercises feel more like a game than a lesson. You have techniques like bunny breaths or snake breaths that use these playful animal-themed movements to make the whole practice of self-regulation fun.
But fun exercises are only one piece of the puzzle. For these programs to be truly effective and also ethical, how they're implemented is absolutely critical. And it really all comes down to the person who's leading the practice.
And the expert guidelines on this are crystal clear. The person leading these practices can't just be someone who read a book last week. They have to be a committed practitioner themselves, with really rigorous training, a dedicated personal practice, and ongoing professional supervision. It's a serious commitment.
But even with really well-trained teachers, there's a deeper question that's starting to come up as these programs get more popular. A recent analysis found that while the curriculum is fantastic at teaching things like care and compassion, it might have a bit of an ethical blind spot. It often puts way less emphasis on concepts like justice, fairness, and responsible decision-making. And that leaves us with a huge final question. There is no doubt that mindfulness is a powerful tool for helping students regulate their inner world. But as it becomes a normal part of school, are we also giving educators the training, the resources, and the ethical framework they need to help students navigate the outer world with that exact same wisdom and clarity? That's the real question.